Welcome to the KuppingerCole Analyst Chat. I'm your host. My name is Matthias Reinwarth. I'm an analyst and advisor at KuppingerCole Analysts. And my guest today is Martin Kuppinger. He is principal analyst and one of the founders of KuppingerCole. Hi, Martin.
Hi, Matthias. Welcome, and thank you for inviting me to this conversation.
Great to have you. And we have a really interesting topic today. And it is not only interesting, but it's also long when it comes to the actual title of this episode. So I tried to read it out first. So we will be talking about data management and data lineage as the foundation for big data governance, big data security, and data security. That is our starting point. And we as identity and access management people have been talking about controlling access for 20 years or longer. What is so special when it comes to security and governance when we're talking about big data, Martin?
So it's interesting because I would say this is one of the most widely ignored topics in the entire space. A lot of organizations have challenges, but few talk about it, few really try to solve these challenges. What makes it special? When we look at the entire data challenges, it starts with we have data in a variety of sources. This can be databases, this can be files, that can be whatever. They can be created on the fly by programs, etc. That data today frequently ends up in some sort of a data lake, and then it ends up in analytics, and then there's some data extracted. And during this process, data is combined, it is analyzed in whichever way. There might be combinations of data which lead to far more sensitive data than the original data. And it's hard to keep track across the entire flow of the data, across the journey of the data. And so implementing a consistent data security across all layers, from the files and databases to the analytics and to the exports to the result sets, is extremely difficult. I would even say it's close to impossible to do it today, more or less. I think there's a silver light at the horizon, but still a way to go. The other element which adds to that is we need to get a better grip on data. So most of what we do in identity management and access management today is focused on someone is allowed to access a system or not. Someone has entitlements in a system or an application, so he's allowed or she's allowed to perform certain actions or not. But at the end, what we want to protect is not the application or the system or the network. It is the data. It's our valuable corporate information. This is what it's about at the end of the day. Having said this, we need a strong governance and we need a strong security on data across all types of data. And so that is why we need to look at this topic.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because when you take existing data out of a source system and put it into, as you've mentioned, a data lake, a basis for executing all these new shiny approaches for data is the new gold, and there is so much more information in there, we are actually stripping off the access control, because we need to have this information available. So controlling this access in such a platform and to make sure that the data is still only used in a way that is consistent with the original access control. That is a challenge that many organizations are currently facing, and as you said, are really currently not achieving to do.
Yeah, and so this is factually the reason why we need to do things differently, and it also adds a level of complexity. So when you look at data lakes and then following the data lakes, the data models, the complex ones where you have cubes and where you need them to define who is allowed, so to speak, to access which slice of data, to combine which data. It's more than saying, okay, someone is allowed to perform that action or that action on a certain system. And there's a level of complexity in how to control data, but there's also, I think this is where we need to start, and where I would like to focus the conversation a little on, how can we understand where which data resides? And this is also not only from protecting our intellectual properties and valuable data and avoiding data leaking important, it's a regulatory requirement. When you look at PII, so personal identifiable information, as part of the data, it's essential to be able to understand where the data is and to protect it adequately.
Exactly. And when we think of just this right to be forgotten, when you want to execute that and to comply to this requirement coming out of GDPR, then you really need to understand where, in which instances this data is in existence throughout your whole organization. And just to make that sure and to implement that requires a much deeper understanding of your data structures and the data flows that you have than many organizations just currently have.
Yeah, and that is why I think it's obvious that we must make this a key initiative in both our IAM and our data and analytics initiatives within the organization. It is an essential topic. I believe there can be no doubt about that. The question is, how do we do it? So what is the way to, I think solve is a big word, but to get better in big data and data governance and security? What is the place to start?
You've mentioned there's a first silver lining on the horizon. Where are solutions that can tackle that, that obviously huge gap that many organizations are facing right now?
Yes, that's exactly where I believe that's the place to start. The place to start, from my perspective, is knowing where data resides, where which data resides. And that is something which is part of a set of technologies which is today commonly referred to as metadata management. So metadata management is a technology which helps in discovering, in extracting metadata, so data about data saying this is that type of data, to put this into a data catalog. So metadata management is very closely related to data catalogs. In fact, this is something which helps filling data catalogs. And it then gives us what is called data lineage. Data lineage is about having the alignment of the line of data, the data flow. So knowing where does data flow. And metadata management and the data catalogs are something which are important well beyond governance and security, but they are what can enable a far better grip on our data from a data governance and a data security perspective, because this helps us to know where is which data, where is it produced, to learn about it, to discover it, and actually then to manage it. This is what we see, and there's a number of vendors in that space. And we see some really mature enterprise level solutions in that space. I don't want to name vendors here, but this technology is available. And if we want to succeed in big data governance and security, I believe it's essential to look at metadata management and data catalogs and to start there. And it is something which then benefits a broad variety of other use cases, such as enabling better analytics. When you know where data resides, it's easier to analyze data. It will help in data quality because you learn about where is redundant data held, etc. But from our perspective, today's talk, without that, I don't see a chance to succeed.
So we need to add another building block for, on the one hand, applying access control, access management in a global manner within an organization. And on the other hand, this is an enabler, as you've mentioned, for the actually already existing use cases when we think of nice front ends that provide visualizations. If we think of machine learning algorithms that are running on top of this consolidated data, so that is or should only be possible when and if you have such a mechanism in place. So we really need also to extend the way we think of data control.
Yes, it is an additional element in what we need. The good thing is it's not that we need this only for our identity management and access related and governance related and security related challenges we are facing. It is something we need anyway if we want to deal successfully with data. And data is in some way, so I don't like this term, data is the new gold, but in some way it's an essential element for capitalizing on what we can do on the data and to succeed in digital transformation. And with that, we need metadata management, we need data catalogs, and we need that element. So commonly, it will not be the identity or the security requirement which drives the metadata management and data catalog project, but it will massively benefit from it. And it will also enable then vendors of data security, of database security solutions to build and to extend their current offerings by knowing where to connect and having one place where they can figure out all the systems and the places to connect. Still a long way to go, but this is the foundation. Yes, it's another element. The good thing is it normally will not be owned by the IAM department. It will be just consumed.
Understood. I think we've just put our first toe into that topic, and I think we will come back and reiterate on that topic in further editions of this podcast. Is there already research available? You've mentioned a blog post earlier that you did already on that topic. So if somebody just uses our search engine at KuppingerCole.com and types in metadata, that should be enough to get there. What else is on the line?
Yeah, I think it's worth to enter big data and big data security and big data governance. There are a couple of advisory notes on the subject. We already have a leadership compass for database security out for a while and in multiple editions, so over the time. So there's more to come around this, because we believe that the future of access governance goes beyond system and application access. It must include data governance. So data governance is one of the key subjects of what we are looking at when it comes to governance, to a new and broader defined access governance, because at the end, that is what we need to protect.
Perfect. Normally, I do a summary to sum up what we've been talking about. You did that already. So thank you very much, Martin, for being with me today. Thanks for your time. And thank you very much to the audience for listening. Bye-bye, Martin.
Bye-bye. And thank you for that conversation.
Thank you.